Yo, I don't even know how we got started. And get some Voodoo Ranger. I don't even know how this got started. I was talking about a motovlog video earlier, and I started talking to my uncle. My uncle came down, and he decided to take a long cross country trip across the U.S. He lives in Florida. And he's gone from Florida. He was around the Orlando area, and he decided he was going to take a long ass road trip from around the Orlando area all the way to California, to the northern part of California. And I thought he was out of his mind. And so I was just checking up on him because he had mentioned to me that he wanted to stop off in LA and maybe try to catch a little bit of what was going on with the LA riots. He is a really good photographer. That's not his profession, but as a hobbyist, he's up there. And so I think he was just trying to maybe test the waters of like kind of photojournalism and get some footage that, most aspiring photojournalists get. They put themselves in situations that are considered harmful in order to capture, really, really unique shots, really, really unique situations that could possibly be later regarded as iconic. And I think that's what he was doing. So I just checked up on him, and I asked him if he had stopped off in LA yet, because the last place he was like in Albuquerque. Once he left here, he stayed with us in San Antonio here for a little while, for a few days before he took off to Albuquerque, and he stopped a couple of ways there. But he replied and was like, I think he said he was still in Las Vegas. And so I was just like, oh damn, that's crazy. And he was like, he said something about the fact that he might hit LA, but he was waiting for all the crazy to kind of die down because he was really tempted to go like kind of now, but he's kind of waiting for it to die down. And I just told him, like, dude, here in San Antonio, like, the craziest stuff has been happening. Like, we have a lot of Hispanic and Mexican workers that work for a lot of these home building companies like KB Homes. There's a lot of them here. And, you don't see a lot of guys working in these neighborhoods anymore, building up these houses. It looks like a lot of these projects and neighborhoods have been stalled, and a lot of videos are popping up of these workers being approached by ICE agents who, like, they're in mid-work, working on roofs, putting on roofs, working on houses, and they're being like accosted, they're being approached and put in handcuffs, and essentially led to immigration. And so I was telling him that the neighbor across the street was literally having a shed built in his yard. He has a corner lot. He was having a shed built in his yard. I mean, he was having like a gazebo put up, and they stopped production on his work. And he was telling me that, basically the workers were afraid to come out because of all of the, the fear of ICE agents coming out and accosting people and arresting people. And so I was just like, wow. So I was telling my uncle that. I was telling him, like, shit's hitting the fan here. So I don't really think that if you wait to go to LA that it's going to die down any soon. The riots have already started here in San Antonio. And I was like, it's going to spread like wildfire. And he was just saying, like, I was like, by the time you get back from California and make it back here to San Antonio, the shit may already be popping here. And so it just kind of led into like a little banter, a little exchanging of ideas and opinions of what's actually going on. And he was saying stuff like, he feels like it's a shock to the economic system, and he hopes people learn for this. And And that, to him, this shows that the economy is basically really fake and has been kept up by like illegal workforce, and the fact that no one can afford to actually pay a citizen a living wage and make a profit is a really bad sign for the economy. And he's like, how do you even run a business in this shit system? And I'm just like, it's really, really hard. It's absolutely hard. And because I was basically saying like, when Trump said make America great again, there's nothing wrong with that from the perspective of the Caucasian. I would also, if I was Caucasian, I would also want to get back to what made America great again. But I was telling my uncle that, America was great when Negroes and Hispanics were in chains. And even after the chains came off, it was still great, while we had zero civil rights. So I just kind of see Trump saying like, hey, look, he's pushing really hard for getting everybody out that doesn't need to be here, and then focusing on like revitalizing the Industrial Revolution, which really made America truly great, because there was a lot of hardworking Caucasians that were trying to innovate and do things to get America to a certain plateau once again, after the abolishment of slavery and stuff like that. And it was a really, really important time, which really established America on the map. And he's trying to get back to that. He's trying to revamp that. And I was just telling him that I don't see the average American wanting to do what the Mexicans and Hispanics do to make America great again, because these guys go to Harvard, they go to Yale, they go to all these prestigious schools, they go to all these they are focused on the upper echelon of education, which translates to being in positions of power to run the country. They're not doing these things in order to be the foreman or the heads of the people who manage other people to do these menial jobs, low income wage jobs. They're not going to school for that. That doesn't pay for them. That's not worth it to them. And I was also just saying like, Black people are in for a real culture shock, because before they let Mexicans in and Hispanics in, we were doing all the work, and we got tired of doing the work. So most of, like Black people, we've relegated, or we have submitted to the reality, like if we really want to not work these menial jobs, these low income jobs, if we want to get out of the rat race per se, or get out of poverty, we need to focus on being entertainers. And the other half, if you're truly gifted in education, you find your way through that means. So you're either an entertainer, or you're just so smart and you can break your way off into a corporate America and succeed, or you join the military and you use your skill sets or learn the skill sets and excel at it. Those are really the three options that Black Americans or Blacks have, including myself, have been able to carve a way to making a good living without having to rely on low income jobs. But we have been very, very spoiled, even though it's not efficient sufficient. We have been very, very spoiled on our roles that we have chosen, because the Hispanics and the Mexicans have taken over the jobs that we used to do. And the reason why they got those jobs is because we started to refuse to do them unless we got paid more, unless we got those civil rights. And they were completely fine with coming in and taking those jobs, forfeiting those civil rights in order to become a citizen. And I was just saying, like, you know, blacks are in for a huge culture shock, because what this country is trying to do is reverse the clock, and we're going to be forced to go back into those jobs. Somebody's got to do it. The average white American that is blue collared or middle class and up, they don't want to do these jobs that the Mexicans are doing. They don't want to do the jobs that we're going to have to do. At the very least, they're going to be the managers of us doing those low-income jobs. So we're going to be forced to going backwards into doing these low-income jobs, and it's going to be a huge culture shock. And you know, somebody's got to do it, and they're never going to deport us, the blacks, because we have been the backbone of this country but there's nowhere to send us, and they don't want to do it themselves, so we're gonna have to do it. And yeah, we're just talking about it, man, and you know, it's very, very interesting. It's an interesting topic, and it's just eye-opening at the same time. I know a lot of people aren't gonna agree with that. It's probably gonna ruffle some feathers. It is what it is. That's just my perspective, and like I said, I think that there's a reckoning coming, and Negroes have been under a strong illusion of inclusion for a very long time, and they've forgotten what it means to their reality of their place in our place in this society. And we've kind of gotten ahead of ourselves, because like I said, we've had a lot of people become millionaires, and we've become very successful at entertaining, and we've been able to reach very, very high levels within this society. And we've confused that for being equal, and we never were equal, and we never will be. And I think that is just part of God's plan to to hit the hard reset button and show us that this is not our place of rest. This is not our end all be all, and we have to remember who we are, for one, and that we need to ultimately keep the laws of God, the things that we hate to do at the very core, because that's what's got us in this situation to begin with. And we've been serving our enemies for a long, long time, and we forgot the true reality. And I think that is just God's way of showing us, wiping us out of that lullaby, waking us up to sleep to say, hey, look, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. This is not what you're supposed to be aspiring for. Your job is not meant to serve. And yeah, it is what it is, man. But yeah, there's a lot of heartache. There's a lot of reality smack coming to our community, and we don't know it yet because a lot of our people are still caught up in the entertainment. We got the NBA finals. We got football season starting right back up. They put a lot of things out in front of us that keep us distracted, and we're just focused on that. And the reality that's going to hit a lot of our people is just going to be awful. It's going to be crazy. And it's going to happen whether we like it, want it to or not. And we just got to be ready for it. So those that are going to be ready for it are going to be. Those who aren't are just not. So let me know what you think. Am I wrong? Am I strong and wrong? Am I delusional? What is it? I don't know. That's just my reality. That's what I see. And yeah, catch you guys in the next video. Peace.